to RoboVoices. This is Ann Wong, the associate principal, and I am here with our middle school guest, Fox. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. It is so wonderful to have you here. As I always do, I have a quick list of questions for you, just so our audience can get to know you before we get into the subject that you want to talk about.
Of course, of course.
All right, here we go. First question. What's your favorite subject?
I really like English, and not a lot of people do, but I like it.
I love it. Favorite color?
I like red and black.
Oh, I'm a red fan too. Favorite movie genre?
Kind of like mystery / romance / fantasy. All the things.
I love it. How about your favorite free time hobby? What do you like to do?
I like to write a lot, and I also like to read and make random things.
Nice. Do you keep a journal?
Yes, I do, but I also like write in general, like for random things like D&D characters and stuff.
Very cool. That's awesome. And the final question is, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I would be 24.
You're 24.
Sorry, my brain and math.
It's okay.
I just in college, like trying to learn how to be a good actress or just an actor in general, or learning stage set and all sorts of something to do with theater.
Very cool. Because I know you're involved in theater now and plan to continue on once you're in high school.
Yep.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those responses, Fox.
Of course.
So I wanted to talk about the subject that you had submitted your form about. And it was really about supporting students who you feel might be getting harassed and to give them a voice in the situation. So talk to me about that. What are some things that you would like to see?
I would really like to see kind of just more improvement in people who are like trying to report what is happening to them, to actually be heard and have the someone like actually go to the source of it, and them just not being afraid to like say something like, hey, I've been harassed by this certain person.
Sure.
And then them being like, okay, do you know where this person is currently? Can you tell me like where they harass you and stuff, so that we can be there when that happens, and just, consequences.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you bring that up, because one of the things that we've always said that is important for all of our Robinson students is we want them to each have at least one trusted adult in the building that they can go to for any concerns, especially something like this, right? If they're being bothered by another student and haven't been able to resolve it themselves, what should they do? And what you're saying is absolutely correct. They should report it. And so for our audience who is listening, our students who are listening out there, I will flat out tell you that who should you report that to? You should report that to your grade level administrator, okay? So here at Robinson, we do have grade level administrators for all 6 of our grades. And I want all of our students to know who their grade level administrator is. And if you don't know that, our website has pictures of everybody, and so they can see who that person is. But if they don't know their administrator or don't feel like they can go see their administrator or contact them, then go to a teacher you trust, because that teacher knows that when something like that is reported, where a student is feeling, harassed or bothered by another student, they need to tell the administrator. So that's what would happen. If a student were to report that to a teacher, the teacher knows they are to report that to the administrator. And everything that you said does happen. So what the administrator would do with that situation is speak to the student directly to find out what's the information, what happened, and what can I do to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So in the SR&R book, I don't know if you've ever looked at it. It's just that thick book that people get. And nowadays, they don't even print it out. They direct you to the online PDF version. There are guidelines in there. And those guidelines are what we as school administrators must follow when students report certain behaviors, because then it's up to us to say, okay, this is the situation, this is what happened, let us do the investigation. Just like you said, we should not only talk to the student who reported it, but talk to witnesses, right? Talk to the other student who is the offender in the case or the alleged offender, because, like law, no one's guilty until we have
Proven.
evidence, right?
Yeah.
Right? So we definitely want to do that, because my role, it's not that I don't want to believe a student when they come to me, right? But it's only fair for me to do the full investigation, get as much information. I think one of the things when I was a sub-school principal and things were reported to me before I became associate, students, whoever reported it would say, well, I never heard back. I didn't hear what happened, right? And that can be frustrating because you reported it. The administrator has to follow certain confidentiality guidelines.
Yeah.
So I should be able to, like, for example, if you were to report something to me about another student, then I would certainly talk to you, talk to your family about it, and do my investigation. I would have eventually circled back to you and tell you that as much as I could regarding that situation, so to close up my investigation.
Of course.
What I can't always tell you is, were there consequences and what were they? And that's unfortunate, because I know you'd want to know, but I would reassure you that we did follow the guidelines, and the SR&R book actually shows some of the different sanctions or consequences that we can give, but I couldn't tell you directly just for confidentiality.
Obviously.
So does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes. But what I will tell you is a lot of times students feel like because they don't get those details that nothing happened. So, and I can understand that too. My hope is there would be some trust in the administrators to take care of it and to ensure that the student, you, as well as everyone else who's involved, would be in a safe environment moving forward.
Of course.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I think about what you're saying and what was reported, my hope is, kids are kids, right?
Yes.
So they make mistakes, they say mean things, they do wrong things sometimes, and that doesn't excuse them from doing it. We certainly want to address it. But the first thing that has to happen is we have to know. Someone has to tell us that it's happened.
Not every student can also feel as comfortable as with like certain like teachers with like, especially if like they trust one certain teacher.
Sure.
It could also be sometimes really hard because you might get like threats, like if you tell anybody, like so and so would happen and everything. And it can be just so scary to like kind of like experience that and be like, oh, I can't really tell anyone because this would happen to me if I did. So it's like, well, what do you do after that?
I know. Those are tough decisions to make. I think we've all heard the whole snitches get stitches. People say that, and it's terrible to even think that that would actually happen. And that's our job as administrators, to ensure the safety of our students. And oftentimes, we do ensure confidentiality. If you were to see something in the hall, right, and you saw some bad behaviors that were happening, I would address those students. And plus we have cameras in the building, so we can pull up the camera footage. But I would never approach those students and say, oh, Fox told me it was that you did this. I would never do that, because I certainly wouldn't want to put you in that situation. So
of course,
our administrators definitely are very mindful to ensure that we keep our students safe no matter what. So, but again, a lot of times students don't want to approach the administrator because they think, oh, well, people who talk to administrators are just getting in trouble. And that's not true. I used to invite all students into my office to just check in, like students who won for the Science Olympiad. I would send a pass to them and for them to come to my office. And of course, they'd be freaking out going, oh my gosh, what did I do? And the first thing I would say is, you're not in trouble. Let's talk about Science Olympiad. Because I want students to know that the administrators are there for good, bad, ugly, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. And if a student doesn't feel safe going to the administrator by themselves, come with a friend.
Yeah, of course.
Then that's okay too. There's safety in numbers.
Yes, very much.
I think those are things that I want students out there to hear, to know that when we hear the word harassment, that's serious to us, you know, but we want to make sure that, that we have all of our facts.
Of course,
and
of course.
that we address the situation appropriately. So what other thoughts might you have about what we've been talking about, Fox?
Kind of just how, yes, there is like a lot of safety in numbers, but also sometimes, like I said, like the person can't always feel very safe, or like they have like really not good like trust issues and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And it can be really hard for that like one person to be like, is it safe for me to say this out loud? I'm worried that someone will like one of like the person's like friends will be like, oh, they said this to a person. You should probably go going like something like, I don't know. It's something like that. And it can be always so hard for that like one person to be like constantly scared about what they're going to do and what's going to like make it just wrong and everything like that. And it just can be so scary.
It absolutely can be scary. And that's why I want students to know that, you know, they could go see their counselor and in their office, right? Something in the privacy of their office. You know, they don't have to tell everybody that, oh, I'm going to go tell on this, you know. It can just be between them, their family, and the counselor or the administrator to handle that situation. And those concerns, you know, I would want the students to say that to the administrator, right? Like, well, I'm kind of nervous about so and so, right? And then if they were to articulate that, my hope is our administrators, who I have so much faith in here at Robinson, would support the student and make them feel safe. You know, there are 3,600 students here at Robinson. That's a lot, but we're such a great community, you know, and there are students who do make mistakes, who do say silly things, and we want to make sure that we address those things as best we can.
Of course.
Yeah. So you've heard me rattle on. Any other thoughts you have about this, Fox?
Kind of just, I was thinking actually while you were saying some things, like not every student will always be fairly comfortable with like their family and like certain like situations like with like harassment. That's like something where I'm definitely not very comfortable with my family, like talking about that and stuff like that. Because then it's like either that my parents are going to be like, are you getting harassed? And then there's me who's like, no, I'm not, don't worry. And it's just, it can be kind of like either very awkward or very just alarming or it could be all sorts of other things that like can just like not like help the person to like feel safer to like say something like that. I feel like I'm really far away from the mic.
You're totally
Sorry,
fine.
That was random.
Fine. That's okay. Random's good sometimes. That's totally fine. And you're absolutely right. And the only way we're going to be able to make someone feel comfortable is to talk it out, right? And to take some time to kind of explain the situation, because we want to, when something like this is brought up, we absolutely want to address it as quickly as possible and ensure that the students feel good about the situation or in a better place. I mean, these types of situations are so hard to deal with and to bring to light that, you know, I hope that even though it might take them a little while, I hope they will eventually say something to somebody so they can get the supports and, you know, and make it a better place for them here at Robinson.
Yeah, not make them like scared to come to school like every day. Be like, oh, I don't know if like this person's gonna like do such and such and stuff like that. Because I know I would be terrified of that. Kind of just pretend to be like sick so that I don't like get harassed by this one person. Because like I wouldn't want to go to school.
Of course. And that's the environment we don't want for you, right? We absolutely want to know so we can make it more of a welcoming and safe place for you.
Yeah.
So, well, Fox, I appreciate you coming in and taking the time to talk about your concerns and giving me an opportunity to kind of explain to you what our protocols here at school are. Yeah. And if those protocols aren't followed, then by all means, come talk to Miss Phillips, the principal, or come talk to me in the main office, and hopefully we can resolve the situation and make it a little better for everybody.
Hopefully.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Fox.
Of course.
All right.
I was happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robinson, for joining us.